listening to Make It, the indie film podcast.
Hi, I'm Jon Fitzgerald, and I'm here to talk about mistakes. My first film, which was called Self-Portrait, I directed and produced in 1994. And the biggest mistake I made on this film was casting friends, not just because they were friends and cool, and they were actors, but one of them actually brought one of our primary locations to the table. And when you're making an independent film, I don't know if you've seen Rodriguez El Mariachi book, but it's pretty amazing. And what he did with that was essentially take anything he had access to, whether it was the motorhome or the turtle or whatever he could find, and somehow incorporated those ideas into the script. Well, one of our cast members who had no screen credits at the time, certainly no feature screen credits, had access to a nursing home and a castle on a property. And I needed a hospital, and I needed a place for the lead character to paint. And I made the mother a real estate agent. I managed to weave it into the script, and it felt organic. The problem is, this was the love interest for the hero, and I just couldn't get the right performance out of her. And then I cast a friend, two friends actually, in other supporting roles, and they weren't horrible, but they weren't that great. And then the lead character's sister was in an accident, and it was a pivotal moment in the film, and I couldn't get this poor 6 or 7 year old girl to deliver from the hospital bed. And it really caused me to suffer in post because I didn't have it. And, you know, when you're making independent film, we shot in 18 days. I didn't have a lot of time. We had to move on. And the truth is, it was my first project, and I probably now would have caught the issue, certainly with the young girl, and redid it a few different ways. And I would have given myself a little more time for such an important scene. And so that was the biggest mistake, I think. And the sad truth is, I couldn't go and reshoot. We didn't have the budget. We didn't have access to the location. This is 1994. Green screen wasn't a thing. It is what it is. To try and find some silver lining in the whole thing, I would say that the film turned out a little above average, I guess, for a film shot for $125K in 18 days with very minimal crew. Played a few festivals, but it wasn't good enough to get into Sundance. And back then, it was all about, how do I get into Sundance? It still kind of is, but not as important now. There's a lot of great festivals out there, and films are selling even if they don't play Sundance. But the good news for me is, because the film and some of these performances, I think, brought it down a level, it didn't get into Sundance, and me and two other guys started Slamdance. So I kind of accidentally fell into this opportunity, because my movie wasn't good enough, to be part of something that became bigger than my movie, which was Slamdance, which is still going today. And if you're watching this and you're in the film space, you probably know what Slamdance is, but it was created as an alternative to Sundance right around the time that things were getting a little more political, shall we say, and Sundance was getting a bit of a bad rap. And even though they were doing great things for film, things are starting to get a little wishy-washy on how films were selected, a little politics, a little sponsorships. And so the timing was good for Slamdance. And our whole mission was to support emerging filmmakers, first-time filmmakers. So it became something that continued long after that first year, that promoted the 3 filmmakers and 7 other films that didn't get into Sundance. So anyway, that was a silver lining for me. And I did learn enough from that to be careful with upcoming projects. And the only example I can give, because my next 5 projects were all documentaries, one of them was called The Highest Pass, which did very well. It won some festival awards and was acquired, was released theatrically, and it was on Netflix. And it was, it had a good run. But the point is that one of the characters, when we were laying this out, was going to be a mechanic, because the movie was about following these motorcycle riders up to the highest pass in India. And once we landed in Peru and actually got to have conversations with this mechanic, we realized that he just wasn't very charismatic, wasn't really good on camera, and we didn't think it was going to help the movie. And because I had this other experience, we just decided to scrap it and we kind of went in another direction. So that's the only example I can give about, what happened the next time any type of casting kind of came up. So anyway, I guess the recommendation here is to take advantage of the opportunities that you have to cast SAG actors. You can do low budget, scale. There's even like an extremely low budget scale, I think now, based on the budget of the film. But the point is, there are so many talented actors out there. Don't sacrifice talent for a favor or a friend, because your movie could suffer, and you want to give your movie every chance to succeed. So that's my advice to any of you filmmakers that are put in a situation where you might have friends and family who think they could just step in and play a role. And if you're interested in learning any more about what I'm doing now or what I've been doing since the initiative of Slamdance, after making Self-Portrait, my website is causepictures.com. I wrote a book called Filmmaking for Change, filmmakingforchange.com. And my passion is now to tell stories with some social relevance or social impact and support impact campaigns. So CAUSE, pictures, PICTURES.com. I appreciate you joining us today, and I wish you the very best.